Mindset is very important in a marathon. It is a strong mental game. Bringing a strong mental game is just as important as your physical game, because you're out there by yourself for whatever. If you're like me, 4 hours, 10 minutes. It's a 26.2 mile. You're on your own. So preparing mindset begins with actually the day before my marathon training, or possibly a week before. I'm a big journaler. So for me, first page of my journal is why am I running? And you will hear that a lot. It almost seems cliche, but you do need to know your why. And I put it in writing because that way I can revisit it on the rough days. The day before marathon training, I'm excited. It's Chicago, it's Team OLA. This is a marathon and I'm jazzed. Running starts with the decision, and I want to make sure not to just go from, in my mind, making a decision to run, to then focusing on my body and then realizing, oh, I need to worry about my mental game the day before the marathon or a week before the marathon. So it starts before my marathon training, and then I journal my way through my entire training cycle. On the days that I have a rough run or a rough day, and you will have those days, I can go back and reread my why. Why am I even doing this? Because I'm going to need to remember that when I have to get up at 5 a.m. and it's raining outside, but I still have to get in those miles. Prior to the race itself, I am journaling and I'm revisiting my why, and then make sure to the day after your marathon also, for me anyways, I like to journal after the marathon to recap what went wrong, what went right. Both are just as important, because then if you decide to do a second marathon, you can revisit that and learn from that and grow from that. So, in other words, a running journal, not just a running vlog, or use an app. Strava has a section on there for making notes after your runs for a reason, because that is very important. Finally, write down not just how your runs went, if you're doing a running journal, but how you felt, because you will learn a valuable lesson if you do that. There's a big difference between how you feel you're doing and how you're actually doing. You could feel like total garbage out there, but actually be doing pretty good. Or vice versa. You can feel like you're just king of the mountain, but then you'll look at your splits and realize that I'm not running as well as I thought I did. And there might be a reason for that. Maybe it's hot and humid out or whatever. But yeah, journaling is the go-to mindset tool for me.
When I'm thinking about my mindset for training and marathon race day, the biggest issue is the training. I always think that it's the training that's the drudgery. The training is, you have to either wake up early, still keep a job, get those long runs in. It's drudgery. It's hard. The race day, to me, it's the cake. You're gonna finish if you went through your training. The race is just pure enjoyment. You're there with 40,000 people plus. You're there with 2 million fans who are cheering you on. It's to me, the everything's about your training, and then knowing what your training was, and being honest to that training when you come to race day, because race day is so euphoric that you can forget about your training and think that God's going to provide a miracle in the first 20 miles of the marathon and make you run way faster than your training. And I always say, let your training be your guide in the first 20, and in your last 6 miles, if God's going to provide the miracle to do better than your training, that's when it's going to happen. But so to me, the marathon is a day to enjoy. It's just this beautiful event. It's that 16 weeks or whatever of training are putting in the hard work.
When I think about mindset, it's usually because someone has asked me what my mindset is, and then I have to go back in time and reflect on how things actually went. So because I've done marathons in the past, this will be my fourth one. I've been able to examine them and just recognize what's been going on in myself that day. So, and I've also ran in high school and in college. So I have that cross country track sort of mindset with my teammates where we're just anxious before the race. We have to use the bathroom multiple times. And I think I've carried that into my adulthood a little bit. But anxiety and excitement, the body can't quite tell what's different there. So I think that's actually helpful to get a sense of eagerness about the run. And I do try to just give that over to Christ, and recognizing that my eagerness should be like toward him and running after him and just enjoying the race. So I try to cultivate a mindset of gratitude when I think about mindset, to just enjoy the race as it is, and to recognize that going forward in the race, whatever bumps in the road there are, if I'm feeling weak, I know that he's strong. And so again, I'm just clinging to that gratitude for the gift of life and the ability to run, and to gather with like thousands of people in Chicago just to all be engaged in the same activity. It's good.